Hello, World Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Happy June 10th. Friday, time for another store review. Getting ready for a really fun weekend. As you can see, we've got Uprising available, Gravity Force in a couple days, and then Big Boss Mode. Getting ready to celebrate Wargaming's birthday. They just had the big update, which has a new Castilla map, and of course, new heavy Japanese tank line, which culminates here in the Type 71. So yes, we have a new tank in the store to discuss. We'll get to that in 1 second. Just wanted to give a brief update on the status of the Battle Pass. As you can see here, 10 days into the month, we are closing in on level 55, which is the level that you get the Neo camouflage here for essentially what is the TOG 2. This thing is kind of meme-ish. Yeah, should be interesting to see on the battlefield. But anyway, the reason I am able to get so far in such short amount of time is because now the missions are potentially combinable. With the license, which is $3 on top of the $5 battle pass, you can combine weeks and you can work on those overlapping missions and get more done quickly, which is what I like. I don't have to worry about coming in on a daily basis and getting everything done per day. I felt like that was a little bit too much pressure. Here I can get what I want done for the week, and then I can take a few days off if I want to. But anyway, that is the Battle Pass, and we see it here in the store. $5 for the Premium Pass, get you everything on the bottom 2 rows, which is about 3,000 gold plus the tanks, and the license, which allows you to combine and replace 1 mission per week. So, Japanese heavy tanks, right? We've got the Type 57. Look at this tank. Tier 8. Some amazing looking angles on this tank. Have a feeling this tank is going to be similar to the Object 252U with the amount of bounces it gets. We'll see though once we get our hands on it, if we get our hands on it, right? Real quick, 430 average damage. Downside, 6.4 second aim time, 0.4 dispersion. So the gun is a little bit trollish, but you have 9 degrees of gun depression and a nice 39 kilometers per hour as a top speed. So going to be interesting. We'll start seeing some of those out today. But those people you see will be extremely lucky because only a 4% drop chance on this tank. And there is no charms to guarantee that you get the tank itself. Essentially 1,000 gold per crate. And remember guys, based upon my recent history, can't remember the tank I was going after, seems like there's been so many lately, I spent 48 crates and didn't get the tank. So again, there is no guarantee that you will get that tank. We've got the Samurai attachment now. I guess this is in line with the Japanese heavy tank, so you can see it here. Fly that flag on top of your tank if you want. Interesting little gimmick there to spruce up your tank, so to speak. Let's see, we'll talk about tanks when we get down to it. We talked about the containers last week, so let's scroll on through the resources. We're going to keep this rather brief if we can this week. Not a lot going on here. These are all left over from last week, so if you want to get more information on them, pull up last week's video. The new bundle, which I kind of like, and hear me out on this. Tier 8s, you got the E75 TS Heavy and the German Bulldog, the light tank. I really enjoy this tank. 72 kilometers per hour as your top speed. Keep in mind, guys, that this tank can get you into trouble really, really quick, and you have no armor, and you have a very small gun, which again means you have to be on target to be able to shoot frequently and maximize your damage. So it's a very difficult tank to play, and I don't take that too lightly when I say it. Um, you know, it really has to suit your play style, I think. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there that prefer the slower, heavier play style, and that's what you get with the E75 TS. It's not my favorite of the Tier 8 heavy tanks. It does really lack that mobility, and I think it's interesting that we just saw the Kyler and crates. Very similar looking tank, just had a little bit of a rounded turret instead of this flat portion on it. But again, I do like the fact that 5,000 gold each, essentially, for 2 tanks, camos, 9 equipment slots unlocked, and you've got 2 different play styles. So you're not going to get too bored of having the same thing. The deal of the week, I think, is going to be the B2 here, in the sense, and we've seen this before, you're going to get everything you see here, which includes a collect them all container, which has a 5% chance of getting a tank out of it. So, I mean, how happy would you be if you drop one of these tanks? And there are a lot of tanks on here. Too many for me right now to scroll through, but you can see 0.05% chance works out to be a total of 5% chance for a tank. You're going to get 25 gold boosters, which I usually put that as a value of 15 gold per booster, assuming that you win 50% of your tier 10 battles. If you're using your boosters at tier 5, you're obviously not going to be able to get that much out of them. But you can turn around and sell this $4 bundle for $1,500 when we add in the gold boosters. That works out to be about 460, 470 gold per dollar there for that $4 investment. So that is one of the nicer deals right now this week, on a week that really does not have a lot going for it. The Warhammer, we talked at length about this, so please, if you want more detail, visit last week's video. My recommendation, if you're going to buy either one of them, which I don't really recommend, is the Vindicator, just because of its derp gun. Both of these tanks are big, boxy, slow, and very team dependent. Very hard to carry a battle in either one of these tanks by yourself with skill alone. Chinukai, 10,000 gold, is totally not worth it, guys. This is a very mediocre tank with a very high credit coefficient, which is the only benefit in my mind to it. It is tier 5. It's not the tank that I'm going to pull out of tier 5 if I decide to go to tier 5 to play a battle. It's just all around average tank, and for 10,000 gold, we've seen that you can get almost 2 tier 8 tanks for that amount. So I guess that's why this is a fairly legendary or difficult tank that not a lot of people have, because it's priced too high. Only a few days left on the impressive duo, which is the ISU 122 and the SU 122. Again, not a big fan of these bundles that have very similar playstyles with 2 TDs here. Price is very good, though, for 2 tier 7 tanks. Keep in mind, these are tier 7 tanks. They do price the ISU a little bit higher. In my mind, I think that's the better of the 2 tank. I get trolled a lot with the armor here, but I also get trolled a lot with the gun and the accuracy on the SU-122S, which is, 122-44, which is why it's not my favorite tank. Moving on to the 121B, again, we talked about that last week. It's really a meta issue more than it is a tank issue. 15,000 gold is standard for a tier 10 tank. And I wouldn't say this is a great deal or the tank's not worth that much. It's just the fact that you roll into battle these days, and there's a high likelihood that you might be the only medium/light tank on your team. So what do? Do you go solo and flank on your own? At tier 10, that is really not a good idea, so you end up having to stay with your heavies, and you're in a tank that doesn't quite have the pen numbers to pen the front of the opposing heavies, and there's going to be a lot of them because that is the meta of the game right now. So until medium tanks start coming back in favor in the game, I would probably stay away from this tank, but don't get me wrong. I like the mobility, the armor, the accuracy of the gun. It is a nice, fun tank to play. The tank that I would recommend buying if you don't already have it would be the WOT 8.8 here. You've got two options. Works out to be about 460, 480 gold per dollar. Don't have the numbers right in front of me right now. So if you're buying your gold for 500, 600, 700 gold per dollar, buy the tank with gold. If you're not finding good deals out there to buy gold, go ahead and buy this one with cash. You're getting a tier 8 tank destroyer with very good frontal armor, with a very high damage per minute number. If you like a little bit slower, heavy tanks, I think you're going to enjoy the Yag Tiger here. You're also going to get 2 collect them all containers, 30 days of premium time, which is great, some boosters, and I think it's just one of the better tier 8 tank destroyers if you throw out mobility. The tank does lack mobility, so it can be a little bit team dependent, but you should be able to consistently get high damage games on this because of the accuracy and the damage per minute on this gun. All right, we talked about gold last week as we did premium times. Make sure that you're coming in here and opening your containers. That's interesting that huge container got separated here by the lock boxes. And this is kind of the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the lockbox event. You should be getting these crates for your battles. They should be accumulating in your storage section, and you just need to buy the keys in order to open them. I would not buy a lockbox and key together because you can get the lockbox for free just by playing battles. Now, there's a couple options. I'm not sure if I still have them because I purchased some of them this morning. There was 1 for 1,000 gold, or there was 2 for $3, which is the best deal. As you can see, that works out to be $1.50 per key. Right here, 5 keys, $2 each. Now, I had 5 keys left over from the last event, and I went ahead and purchased 10 more keys. So I have opened 15 lockboxes, actually 18. And because I am really interested in this Titan 54D. Why? Well, it has this active armor. We saw this on one of the Battle Pass tanks. I think it was some sort of Tiger or something, where after 50% of your hit points disappeared, up came the flap at the bottom and improved this armor in this area here. Well, on this tank, which is a tier 8, we haven't seen this type of tank at tier 8, only tier 6. You have a consumable that you use that makes this armor pop up more into a pike nose, and I believe this armor folds around the turret here, making the turret more difficult to pen. So kind of an interesting little gimmick into the game, having the ability to improve your armor for a stint of period. Plus, it's a T-54. I mean, you gotta love a T-54. It's one of the iconic tier 8 medium tanks of the game. But we only have a 3% chance of getting this tank. So obviously you can get them with certificates, and that's where I'm getting to with having bought so many keys. I ended up getting 20 certificates throughout using my first 5 keys, but since then, having spent another 13 keys, I have not got a single certificate for the tank itself. So just keep that in mind, that these numbers here are pretty low as far as getting the certificates. Now, I have gotten certificates for the other tanks. We've got the IS-3D here. We've got the AMX Defender. We've got the T-28 Defender. So I filled this out and got that tank. And the Defender Mark 1 are your other options, as long with some gold boosters and that type of stuff. So very difficult, low odds of getting the tank, obviously. And so we might have to wait until the end of the year / Christmas time to bid on that tank. So, guys, that is going to wrap up the store review. I hope you have a fun weekend. Lots of different Blitz events going on. And, of course, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger, out.